If you want easy cooking that also saves time, energy and money, you've probably thought about buying a multi-cooker. This Instant Pot feeds a family of 6, costs less than £90 to buy and cooks a whole chicken even faster than an air fryer. But it's also the cheapest model of this size in the Instant Pot range. So what's it missing? In this video, I'll show you how to use it, tell you how much it costs to run, and give you some ideas for what you can cook in it. So to begin, there is lots of information in this video, so if you need to skip around, you'll see the timeline of the video divided into different chapters, and those times are also in the description below, so feel free to find the information you need. This is the Instant Pot Duo. It's a 5.7 litre multi-cooker made by the American company Instant Pot Brands. One of the most important things to know about Instant Pot is that it has a very strong following, even more so than a company like Ninja. And so by buying one of these appliances, you're becoming a part of a big community with lots and lots of free recipes, loads of third-party accessories and spare parts, and a UK Facebook group of over 56,000 people. Instant Pot makes lots of different versions of their multi-cookers, and it's a little bit bewildering trying to choose one. There is a smaller version of this one which is called the Duo Mini, and that's a 3 litre capacity intended for 2 or 3 people. But presuming that you've decided that this size is the size you want to go for it, and it is the most popular size they sell, you'll actually find that there are 6 Instant Pots in exactly this size, and all of them are slightly different. So I'm just going to quickly run through some of the differences between the models. Firstly, this one, the Duo, is the entry-level 5.7 litre model. It's the cheapest in this size and it has a manual pressure release. Next you have the black Instant Pot multi-cooker that has customisable presets and temperatures and a switch to release pressure. The Easy model also has a switch to release pressure, most of the same functions but a noticeably simplified control panel, and I think this one has probably been made with less tech savvy and older people in mind. The Duo Plus has the quietest steam release of all, controlled by a switch, and it has a progress bar so you can see how far through cooking you are, and it also has a sous vide function. Next you have the Pro Plus, which is the most expensive of all. It has all the bells and whistles and a pressure cooker that runs at 15 psi, which is the highest psi you can get. It's Wi-Fi enabled so you can release the steam using an app as well as a switch, and it also has a sous vide function. And finally, there is the Duo Crisp that is a multi-cooker and an air fryer combined, a bit like the Ninja 14-in-1, which I've also reviewed on this channel. But after that little walk through all the different models of the Instant Pot, back to this one, which the video is about. This is the Duo. It's a 7-in-1 multi-cooker, which means you can use it to saute, pressure cook, slow cook, make yogurt, steam, cook rice, and as a warmer. And it also has 6 presets, which are pre-programmed functions for popular foods. In this case, soup, meat stew, bean chili, chicken, multigrain, and porridge. It's slightly confusing on the control panel because there is an overlap between the functions and the presets. For instance, both rice and steam are marketed as one of the 7 different functions, but they also are presets on this model. Now, looking at the design of this model of Instant Pots, the lid isn't hinged, but it has fins that slot into the base handles so you can keep it off your worktop. Because this one is the basic model, there's no power switch on it and no start button. Instead, you need to turn it on and off at the wall, and it will start automatically once you've chosen your program and time. The heating element is at the base of the pot, and there's also a dishwasher safe stainless steel inner pot included, which is what you cook in. You also get a trivet, which you can use for the pot-in-pot method, which I'll talk about in a moment, and for elevating joints of meat off the bottom of the pot, and you'll see that in action in a second too. Around the top of the Instant Pot there is a condensation rim, and there is a condensation collector at the back which you'll need to empty regularly. Now, most people know Instant Pots for the pressure cooking function, and if you haven't used a pressure cooker before, what's so great about it is that it tenderises meat and cooks food much quicker than traditional methods, even air fryers. So that means you can save energy and money. To test out the pressure cooking function, I did several dishes, but I started with a whole chicken, as I always do. This one was 1.6 kilograms. The recipe I used, which is linked below, advised browning the chicken on the sauté setting for 5 to 7 minutes on each side. So that works a bit like a frying pan. The sauté setting has 3 levels: less, normal and more. I did this a little bit on more and then I dropped it down to normal. After 10 minutes, I removed the chicken from the pot, having done both sides of it, added a cup of water, deglazed the pot, which is something they're advised to do quite a lot, and put the chicken on the trivet back into the pots. Then comes the pressure cooking part. To do this, you place the lid on top and twist it into position so it locks and you'll hear an audible alert. For pressure cooking, the steam release handle needs to be set to sealed. That setting is marked on the lid, but it's black writing on a black lid, and so it isn't particularly clear. So as a guide, if you're looking at your pot from the front, the pressure release valve should be pointing at about 10 o'clock. Next, you select the pressure cook button and you can press the pressure level to toggle between high and low. I left it on the default, which is high, and then set it for 21 minutes, which was what was advised for this weight of chicken in the recipe I was using. But the maximum you can set the pressure cooker for is 4 hours. As I mentioned before, there's no start button on this model, which really threw me when I first used it. So once you've selected your time, you wait for a beat and then you'll hear a beep and the display will change to on and steam will start building up. It took about 5 minutes with this chicken to reach pressure. The valve popped up, the lid locked in place and the display switched to a countdown timer. At the end, you can select keep warm to keep your dish warm, but you will need to eventually manually release the pressure. And this is definitely something it takes a little bit of confidence and a knack, as you will see from our multiple attempts to get it right on camera. When the steam has released, the valve will drop and then you can release the lid. Now, if you don't like the look of the manual release, and I don't blame you, other models in this range, as I've mentioned, do have a switch or even the option to do it on your phone so that you don't even have to be in the same room. And if the idea of a pressure cooker generally makes you nervous, it's worth pointing out that these modern multi-cookers are leagues ahead of the ones that are around in the 1950s and 1960s. As long as you keep the silicone valve clean and unblocked, it's going to be safe and fine. And I'll talk about how to make sure that that valve is clean in a sec. So a chicken this size would normally take about 1 hour and 15 minutes in the oven or 45 minutes in an air fryer. With the time for browning, bringing the Instant Pot to pressure and then cooking it, it was only about 5 to 7 minutes faster than it would have been putting it in an air fryer. And although it looked a little bit uninspiring when I lifted the lid, it was actually the most moist and delicious chicken that I've ever cooked, and everyone loved it, and we will be repeating it. I just need to work on my browning a little bit. Now, as far as energy consumption goes, it used 0.3 of a kilowatt hour, which means at today's rates, it used about 7.5p of electricity. And if you're wondering how that compares to cooking in an oven or an air fryer, I have been having exactly the same thought as you, and I'm planning a video where I compare ovens, air fryers and pressure cookers for the results and the energy consumption. So if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button so you know when that video is released. So as well as pressure cooking, you can also use the Instant Pot as a slow cooker. To do that, you select the steam release handle to venting and select a setting between less, normal and more by pressing the slow cooker button and cycling through the options. The target temperature for both settings on the slow cooker function is 95 Celsius. The difference is that high takes around 2 hours to stabilise at this temperature, while low takes around 4 hours to stabilise. This Instant Pot gave me my first opportunity to try making yoghurt. I could have done it in the Ninja 14-in-1, but I didn't. Lots of people love making yoghurt at home, but it's always seemed like a lot of work for me for yoghurt. With the recipe I followed, you first bring milk to the boil by pressing the yoghurt button until it says boil, then allow it to cool at room temperature. Mix the boiled milk with your live culture and flavours and leave it to cook slowly for 6 to 8 hours. There are 3 settings. It defaults to normal, which is what I used, and that's 38 to 41 Celsius, but you can also set it to cooler or hotter. To change between the temperature settings, press the yoghurt button again. If you're wondering how making yoghurt in the Instant Pot compares cost-wise to buying it off the shelf, the entire process used an amazing 0.162 kilowatt hour of energy, which would cost you 4p at current energy rates. And added to that, my milk and live culture brought it up to 68p compared to about £2 for buying the same quantity of yoghurt. So now I get why people do it. Another thing you can do with this Instant Pot is what is known as the pot-in-pot method, where you put water in the cooking pot, then rest a smaller stainless steel or Pyrex pot on the trivet above it, like a bain-marie. We use this method to cook porridge. My bowl is a little bit big, but it's the only one I had that matched the criteria. But you can also use this method for rice, and there's 2 reasons really why you would want to do it. One is to stop food sticking on the base of the main pot, which is obviously directly on the heat. And the second reason is if you're cooking a side dish in the smaller pot. So for instance, you might cook a stew in the main pot and then do your rice or vegetables separately in the inner pot. Now on to cleaning. I've already mentioned the importance of ensuring that the silicone cap on the inside of the valve is kept clean and unblocked, which is pretty easy to do by washing it in hot water. But after a week or so of cooking pretty diverse foodstuffs in this Instant Pot, I noticed a problem that these multi-cookers are well known for, which is that they hang on to smells. Although you can easily remove the main seal, I couldn't shift the smell of curry from it, even when I washed it in the dishwasher, soaked it in white vinegar, and even tried cleaning it with Milton. And so I've come to the conclusion, like a lot of other people, that the only way forward is to buy third-party seals in different colours and use different ones for cooking different foods. So to sum this Instant Pot up, if you are trying to save money cooking and you want a hassle-free way of cooking, it's really worth having. Over the last 2 weeks, we've become Instant Pot converts and starting to see why people rave about it online now. But I do think that we're probably going to have to upgrade this model to one with a switch for press or release and possibly sous vide. Not because I'm that fancy, but because I have a teenage son who likes all that kind of stuff and would like to do sous vide. So, a question for you. If you have watched this video because you're considering buying an Instant Pot, would it be helpful if I got all 6 of the different 5.7 litre models and did some side-by-side comparisons and showed you what they're like? Let me know in the comments, and also make sure you check out the description for links to things featured in this video, recipes, and any additional information or corrections that I add after this video goes live. Thanks for watching.